Alright, back to the business here. Bro, I recorded my entire AM session extremely zoomed in. You couldn't see nothing on the screen, so I really just goofed. Unfortunate. But I took a small loss earlier in the AM. I was just simply wrong about direction. I wanted a bearish move to go for the midnight open, but I entered off the first presented. And when I saw this bullish order flow developing, I exited my trade early, and I didn't align myself to attack this equal high right here. So it was a lost trade and a missed opportunity, but I mitigated my risk and bailed the trade early, which is something I haven't been able to do consistently in the past. So this is a good step for me in the right direction with mitigating my risk better and, taking losses way better, because a win is always going to come, and when the wins come, they're going to carry my profits. While I wait for those wins in those high quality setups, I need to make sure that I'm mitigating risk as much as possible, and today was a good step in the right direction doing that. So that's pretty much what I talked about to sum it up for the AM session. Unfortunately, I don't have that recording anymore. I had to toss it. It was just trash. Anyways, I got off, and then when I came back just to see what was happening towards the end of the 950 macro, a little bit later I started seeing some bearish order flow developing. It was pretty coherent, and I thought it would be good to see price heading back towards the 830 open, since we've traded so much in this range right here. And on the 5-minute, you see these wicks. Looks like exhaustion. Price is unwilling to trade further there. We have a lot of wicks that we can use these down close wicks as extra form of resistance that we don't want to see price trade above. That's my thinking coming into this little trade right here. Although it is 11, it feels very low risk to me, and I'm only in with one micro since I don't want to risk too much, which is perfect. My stop should be well protected above the body of this 15-minute candle. And yeah, it feels like a very low risk, highly probable trade given we've already done so much, bullish digging.
Order modified.
Yeah. So now it's just a waiting game. I got a bit of a late entry. Wanted to get into this order block, but I saw price moving, so I took a small little late entry off of the order block. This is supposed to be my real entry right here. These two up close candles. I think it'll be crucial to map out this fair value gap right here. See how price is reacting to it. I don't want to see this hold support very well. I want to see this consequent encroachment. I need to see it retrace to again. I want to see it broken through. If we can break through this consequent encroachment and invert this fair value gap, I'll have that much more confidence in holding the trade. But if we begin to come back and dawdle here, then that's problematic for what I want to see happening, and it's probably going to be another small little loss depending on what we see. Alright, so this is where the 11 a.m. candle opened. A little bit of manipulation here for essentially what I want to see as a down close candle. My stop is right around the open, so it's a good invalidation area, because if price is to retreat here, then the 1 hour candle flips bullish, and that negates my bias because I want to see a down close 11 a.m. candle. So let's just double check with the hourly. See, yep. I'm looking for this to be a down close bearish hourly candle, since we've already, filled in the 1 hour gap, and it's also a 4 hour gap, and we want to see it hold some form of resistance, and that resistance on the lower time frames. God damn, I can't speak. That resistance on the lower time frames is in the form of, reversal liquidity raid lower. So that's the idea. Now we just sit and watch.
Order filled.
Alright, we out of there. Trade took out. So once again, I'm just offside on the market. Wrong about direction. This fair value gap right here told the story. Respect the consequent encroachment of it. Show that we're still in an uptrend. No matter how slow or lethargic it is, the trend is still dominant, even if it's not necessarily going anywhere. So, this wasn't really a strong change in a state of delivery, just pretty much a retracement in an already existing uptrend. And it's also late, it's 11:27, so probably not the best trade I've taken, but it was also 1 micro, low risk, so didn't lose too much. But we're definitely done for the day. We're gonna take these two L's on the chin for the day and refresh. Still just the start of the week. Plenty more opportunities to find, so I'm not pressed. I don't feel too upset about this. Obviously don't want to take these L's, but the best part is that it's very low risk. Risk has been mitigated very well, so it's gonna keep me up and running till I find the next good setup. And that's what the business here for today. Alright, we back with it. Back for the PM session. It's now 1:41. So we've inversed this 1 hour fair value gap. It is now a 1 hour IFVG. I'll be paying attention to whether it can hold support or not. Going down to the 15-minute, what we've mapped out is we did respect the consequent encroachment of this 15-minute sell side inefficiency, buy side imbalance. And it also happens to be right next to the lunch high as well that was put in. Overall, so my 15-minute chart isn't showing because Alpha Futures is just like that. Their platform is, it's not Top Step X. But luckily I have the other time frame so I can still see the big picture. We're still in an uptrend. These equal lows is a possible draw for the session. Only if this 15-minute fair value gap is inverted. If this holds support, which also happens to be at the midpoint of a 1 hour wick, this 1 hour wick right here, which I'm looking to see hold support in tandem with this 15-minute fair value gap. If both of these levels are violated, these equal lows, or actually this is the lower one, these equal lows become the draw for this session, right? Barring that situation, if that scenario doesn't happen and we get support here and we start to bounce from this 15-minute gap, which is expected to hold a lot of support with the midpoint that I pointed out before, looking to see a reversal from here and a continuation for the overall trend into the lunch high. That's the lay of the land so far walking into this PM session. The only thing that would convince me to engage on this setup that I have planned out is displacement. If I don't see displacement and some PDAs, some fair value gaps opened left in its wake, then I'm not convinced. And I don't want to take another loss. I don't want to take another loss and risk any more money. Took 2 losses in the AM already, so now we're playing defense, just trying to protect the rest of our capital, preserve capital, and only look to deploy risk if we get what I outlined previously and some displacement. So now we wait. This is a good reaction right here to this 15-minute BISI. Bullish fair value gap. We're seeing candles can't even trade to the midpoint. They're not even reaching it. If price continues to reject here and shows me some displacement, opens up a fair value gap or two, then that would be a green light to engage in longs. But as of right now, we got one fair value gap off of this rejection, and but the displacement and the order flow isn't significantly bullish yet. So I need to let it develop a little more, get a little more intel. Probably wait to see what the 150 macro brings. If nothing, then see what the 2 p.m. open also brings and further evaluate. I have a certain bias in mind, I have a direction, I have a setup, but I'm not going to rush it. And I'm not going to engage unless it's very confirmed, because this could fully invert this gap and continue this bearish momentum. Respecting the midpoint again. Body can't even reach it. Wicked right to it and immediately rejecting above. Now I feel confident to engage in a long. I think I'm going to put a limit at this down close candle right here. Same thing, just 1 micro, very low risk. Not trying to push it or anything. Yep. We got another fair value gap right here. It's a suspension block. That's a pretty good entry. I'm gonna just change the color. Note that it's a suspension.
Order filled.
Alright, we're tagged in. Coming into this, I'm not expecting price to get back to that consequent encroachment. You see we have this long wick right here. It should also hold as support. By showing me that the bodies can't even reach the consequent encroachment and seeing this rejection up, creating 2 fair value gaps in its wake, is showing me that there's bullish order flow developing right now. And so retesting this would negate my bias, would invalidate my setup. So that's where I'm placing my stop. Take profit. It's fair for these equal lows right here. I think that's a fair target.
OCO orders placed.
There's always that possibility of getting a lot of, accurate signals that just don't pan out because of the nature of today. Like ICT says, if there's news on the weekend, you can expect Monday to be very low probability trading. And that was showcased by the AM session. Had good signals that on, any other given day would probably lead to smooth delivery. But that wasn't the case this morning. I'd like to see sensitivity if we touch this, if we tap into this 15-minute fair value gap again. Like I said before, I'm looking for a bounce out of it, so we should see some sensitivity. If there's no sensitivity and price continues to just slowly dig into here, our bias is just invalid. Talk to me, NQ. Talk to me. Although price treated this fair value gap like an inverse and it bounced off of it, I'm holding the significance of this 15-minute fair value gap over this fair value gap because this is on a higher time frame. So I will always give more significance to a higher time frame PDA. And my confidence to keep holding this trade is just simply this reaction to the consequent encroachment. That bounce without even being able to reach the midpoint, not with the candle or the wick, is a very bullish signature. And that allows me to hold and sit through this drawdown. That's right, NQ. Talk to me. Now, when we get to this 5-minute here, it's going to be crucial to see if price can blow through this with speed and aggression, or this is just going to be a point of resistance that sends us down. By this point, we've done a little bit of digging. I don't want
Order modified.
I don't want price to drop below this low, so just shaving off a little bit of risk, practicing the good habits to continuously mitigate as much risk as I can so that my losers are as small as they can be. We're seeing some good movement. Institutional order flow entry drill right here. Slight tap into it. Now we bring our stops closer.
Order modified.
Now we've reclaimed this fair value gap. Worked below it, reclaimed it, and now we're above. I don't want to see price come back down here, or else it's just muddy and continuously unclear, and that's just not price action that I want to participate in for an extended amount of time. So these two price arrays alongside this inverse fair value gap right here, I'm not going to mark it up because it's going to make it a little messy. But these are 3 PDAs, which is sufficient to hold a tighter
Order
stop.
modified.
Looking to see how price reacts to these. I'm expecting a bounce. This is a nice reaction here. We tapped back into the gap, but once again did not reach consequent encroachment. So now this is showing us continuous bullish order flow developing. As long as price can respect what it's been doing in these previous 1 minute candles, we can look for price to go higher. This is a good reaction to this 5 minute gap right here. We broke into it pretty aggressively with this 1 minute candle. It's just a little bit of displacement. You don't want this midpoint to be respected. And that's good. This is good. This is good displacement. So now we're going to trail our stop to this fair value gap right here.
Order modified.
I don't want to see price even reach back into this gap. But given today's nature, let the trade breathe a little bit. Coming into this 15-minute SIBI right here. Let's look on a 5 minute, a strong 5 minute candle. See the cops, they coming for me because I'm robbing a bank. You hear me? Alright, this is an inverse 5 minute now. We have 2 fair value gaps opened. In an ideal scenario, this one would be a breakaway gap. This bottom one right here. But given the nature of today's session, I feel like I said that before. Yeah, given the nature of today's session, it's very possible that price can retrace here. So if this downtrend ends up to be the dominant momentum for the 2 p.m. silver bullet, I'll be stopped out with a slight win, or basically break even, which is good. And I'll be fine with that considering I took 2 losses previously in the AM session. Whenever we find displacement and we open multiple gaps away from a high time frame gap like this, that pretty much shows the dominant momentum. Because right now I'm aligned with the trend. Comfortable moving my stop right below this low.
Order modified.
So now we're securing a little more profit for my time. Pay the trader. Just making sure we're booking as much profit as we can as the trade unfolds. 15-minute fair value gap. We're not out the woods with it yet. I want to see what the candles look like on the higher time frame. Okay, this is good. This is good. So we're gonna leave a 15-minute fair value gap right here that I don't want to see price traded back to, since we're inverting this. And I feel like if my stop gets hit, it'll be to fill this gap, which would be an unfortunate situation, but we've already traded below and dawdled around for a bit, so I'm looking for this to just be smooth one-sided delivery now. That's why I'm gonna keep this stop here and not at break even.
Order filled.
Alright, that's the business. Tagged out, completely fine. Booked a good amount of profit. Not bad. I don't know why ain't keep playing with me like that, man. So actually this was the low-hanging fruit, now that I think about it. This is actually kind of an ambitious target given that it's Monday PM and seeing the price action that we had in the session previous. So really this was the ambitious target. I feel like if price opens up a gap and continues higher, that's something I'm willing to engage in if this low remains protected and price doesn't trade below it. Like this 5 minute right here is the last line of defense. Yep, this 5 minute should be a breakaway. If this 5 minute remains a breakaway, it's guaranteed price is still bullish. These equal highs should get hit. This is a little suspicious right here. This reaction to this 15 minute. The fact that we didn't get a body close and it wicked right back in. And now we're opening again in the same gap. Very suspicious behavior. We also have this 15 minute gap right here. I'm going to change this 5 minute to a 15 minute just because if I can switch my thing. Just because the 15 minute always holds more significance. Boom, 15 minute. Now price can retest this and bounce higher. Or price can just continue now and leave this like a breakaway gap. It all depends if I see a little bit of displacement here and we continue higher. If this PNL includes Friday's trading, since it was the day before 4th of July, early close. So Alpha Futures is counting both Friday's trading and today's trading as one PNL. So really for the day I'm down like 60 something dollars, which is not bad at all considering I took 3 trades. If price can attack this high with some aggression, then I'm willing to re-engage, take the continuation of my previous setup. And if that works out, then it'll just prove to me that my stop was a little too tight and I should have left it below this low. We've done enough work below the 15 minute. We're going to trade above it now. I think I'm going to take one, again, low risk, this fair value gap right here. I'm not going to trade, see if price can come back to it.
Order filled.
Tagged in. Just want to see something on the 15. Yep, so we did tag that gap, but it's like an extremely precise entry. And we're about to close above. So for this trade, I'm really just taking this with the profits of my previous trade. So it's pretty much house money on this trade. A whopping $43 if we lose.
OCO orders placed.
TPM, our original target. Essentially, this is supposed to be a continuation of my previous trade. I think my stop loss was too close. I want this fair value gap violated. I don't think it's going to hold resistance pretty strong, especially after this tag right here. Long wick right here, wicked into the lower quadrant of this gap, immediately shot back up. That's like essentially the same thing as a liquidity grab. Okay, this is a pretty good close. Getting some displacement now. That's right. Like to see some speed. Inverted this gap right here. So now we have this fair value gap and this 15-minute working in tandem. So I'm gonna take out, actually, no, I'm gonna keep the 15-minute here because I need to see my entry for when I journal it later. But anyways, now getting some good movement. Comfortable taking risk off the trade.
Order modified.
I want this to be a new point of support right here. Price doesn't trade below it. If this can, it would be optimal if price opens a fair value gap right here. And we continue to see some displacement to the upside. Either way, this is definitely the last trade of the day. Risk free now. So if it gets stopped out, I'm out. I have nothing more to do with this session, with this day. Sitting through a little bit of chop, but the bodies are still not closing below this gap. Risk free. I'm already pretty much mentally checked out of this trade, no emotional attachment to the outcome of it, no emotional attachment to the session at all. If, these highs get hit, that's a cherry on top. If not, we took a good trade right here, attempted a continuation, and managed it very well. So I'll be happy walking away with good, patient trading for the PM session. Didn't quite recoup all the losses that I made in the AM session yet. There's still a possibility that I do recoup my loss and make a little bit more. But I'll be happy to walk away with having gotten in reps of patient execution and trade management. There's been a lot of situations where price, came so close to my actual take profit, took like a measly high or low right before my actual TP, and just crashed after. So I'm not going to take that chance after having waited through so much trash PA. But anyways, I continuously move my trailing stop closer and closer just to secure a bit and a bit and a bit more profit as the trade just droned by. It's now 3 o'clock. We're in power hour. But I don't care about these equal highs. I don't care about price going potentially beyond. I don't care about the lunch high no more. Let me take that out. Just want to get a good high, get in a good stop, and get out of there. That's it.
Order filled.
And that's what the business here. That's what the business here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I see what happened. 2 good trades. Really, it just could have been one. Trailed my stop a little bit aggressively on the first attempt. And recognized that my bias was still in play because, so honestly, the biggest confluence for me to re-engage was this right here. This right here, institutional order flow entry drill. Tapped in, didn't even reach the upper quadrant. Didn't even retrace to the upper quadrant. Stayed all the way above here, wicked, and then shot back up. That's the same thing as a liquidity grab, showing us that we're still bullish. So I engaged in the next available opportunity I found. As soon as we bounced off of this gap, we opened this fair value gap right here. My fill was a perfect fill. We wicked down to the lower quadrant. We didn't even get below this gap, and then immediately closed way above, which is a bullish signature, meaning we're still continuing. Then I just sat through some ages and ages of chop, but the reason I still held the trade, especially in here, I had a couple second thoughts about, just closing out whatever profit I had and calling it a day. The bodies were not closing below the midpoint. So I figured that as long as these bodies are not closing below the midpoint. Wait, man. As long as these bodies were not closing below the midpoint of this gap, it was showing me that price was still bullish. Although lethargic, although slow and a little bit indecisive, it was not violating this gap right here, this inverse, which was a good sign. And then once I saw this displacement going up higher, and these wicks reaching for higher prices after we finally tagged this high, I figured price is still gonna keep going. So this happened. I weathered it, didn't even care. By this point, it was whatever the trade's gonna do, the trade's gonna do. I've managed my stops effectively. I've put it at a place that at an actual invalidation zone. So then price just continued trending up higher, and as we can see, it finally tagged my point. It actually reached the equal high. We could have wanted to get out here, but it's 321 right now. On any other usual day, I'm probably out by the 250 macro. So this trade took a little bit longer than I would have liked. That's why I just wanted to get off at this this high right here, secure some profit. And that's the business. That's the business for today. We've definitely recouped and made some on today's losses. And we've recouped most of Friday's losses too. So overall, we're only net down $30 on both Friday and today's trading. And this is good. So basically, today's a green day, 1/3 of the way to passing the evals. And that's the business. I don't want to. Two trades in the AM, navigating a very difficult AM session, pure low probability conditions, but I was still able to mitigate my risk pretty well during those trades by taking the lowest sizing possible and having as precise stops as I could afford to. And then we made that up with the PM session, even though I wasn't looking to trade at all. But honestly, this price action was too good to pass upon, especially this reaction right here. So overall, it's a good day. We're up on the day, and that's how you navigate the worst day of the week. This Monday right here, Monday after July 4th, weekend news, expected it to be low probability, navigated the most difficult day of the week. Now the rest of the week we should look to have, better price runs, more opened up price action, which is good. So I'm proud of myself for how I handled today. And I'm looking to keep this momentum growing, yeah, man, because this is Operation Generational Run. All right, back at it like a crack addict. Usually I never pay Asia any mind, but I just briefly opened the chart just to see what's going on out of curiosity, and I see, my A plus setup forming from when I used to trade Asia, so I figured I might as well give it a little shot. As you can see, 1 micro here, not a lot of risk at all, and I'm not looking to make trading Asia a habit or anything, so just gonna see how this plays out, because I'm pretty confident in my analysis and confident with the Asia model when it does play out. And today, when I opened the market, when I opened the charts, it just seemed to be going in my favor. Although I'm in a bit of drawdown right now, I might have been incorrect. Damn, I think I was definitely incorrect. This might be exactly why I don't trade Asia. Yep, we out of there. And that's exactly why I don't trade Asia. That is very embarrassing. And I kind of don't want to put this in a video at all. But, this is just the raw accountability that I need to hold myself to. Exactly why we don't trade Asia. All right, let's go over what I saw real quick. Coming into the chart, I came in at exactly around 803. I saw this long wick here, tagging this low. I wanted it to be a liquidity sweep, considering, 8 p.m. started, beginning of the Asian session. I saw price starting to move and flip this 5-minute gap. This was a 5-minute gap, 5-minute SIBI, right? And I saw price before this was a wick, it was a body. So it looked to me like a strong body about to close above and invert the 5-minute. That's why I had it labeled as a 5-minute IFVG, but the trend was just stronger at the moment. Got what I thought was a liquidity sweep right before, and what was beginning to look like displacement might have been an early rush trade. So it looked to be like the bread and butter setup, but it didn't pan out. Lost 63, took a little chip out of what I had made earlier in the day. And that is exactly why I stay out of Asia. So hopefully this is going to be a lesson. I was confident from my PM session trading, and I think that stabbed me in the back. Just, I've been doing so well for like the past month, really doing my best not to even look at Asia. But today I really thought this was a good setup playing out, but clearly wasn't the case. It's alright, I'm going to take it on the chin. Here's the situation. I know I said that I would not take another trade whether it was a win or a loss, but I think my bias was right, and I was early. And the way this displacement is coming in after sweeping that low, it's looking very obvious, and I think I would be a donkey to not try and capitalize on this displacement right now. Yeah, this is so much displacement after. I think that previous trade was just like in the morning. I was just early. Yep. 4 seconds left to close. Okay. I'm gonna look to go in with 1 micro here. Same thing, low risk. We have a change in structure. I mean, we have a change in state of delivery. Actually, this is absolutely A plus. We're gonna go in with two micros if we get the chance. It's just everything you want to see. All right, we got filled in now. A good stop would be around consequent encroachment of this breakaway gap, but I think I want price to breathe a little bit, so I'm gonna put it around this order block right here, or actually at the bottom of the gap. Don't want to see price reach into this gap at all. I want to see it supported by both the 5-minute inverse and this fair value gap that opened up. Let's see, minor buy side is a good target. New day opening gap is also a good target. I think I'm gonna put it at the CE of this new day opening gap. And if we're to reach this minor buy side, see how price trades at that level. There we go, we're stopped out. God damn, son. Alright. This is tough. If this is a breakaway gap right here, I was looking for price to break this, to reach into it and break this, but we haven't touched into it. We're inverting these fair value gaps. We have a fair value gap here. There's a possibility that I was just offside with the market. Let's see. Okay, price is looking for that external side, sell side, which is much more apparent on the 5-minute. These equal lows resting here. It's obvious price is going for those. I thought this was a reversal opportunity, but I was just incorrect. Liquidity sweep that's fueling price to continue lower. We're getting multiple SIBIs opening up. Yeah. All right. Yep, this is opening a 5-minute bearish gap now. It's obvious now price wants to hit this external sell side. All this downtrending momentum is happening with a reason. And I'm thinking this is the reason that the session has in mind. We've made 2 breakaways so far. This might be a third. I don't want to chase and enter off of this fair value gap because it's too deep in discount. Well, really all of this is deep in discount. And shorting from discount is always a bit of a worrisome thing. Aggressive, risky. But seeing as, alright, this is not a change of statement. Seeing as this was the liquidity sweep, we weren't able to reach this minor buy side. Created a breakaway, order block, breakaway, breakaway, order block. This is bearish order flow developing right now, so I think, yeah, I don't want to see price traded into this. Yeah, we're getting displacement farther away. I don't think I'm gonna get a fill. If price comes back to this area, I'll enter, but I don't think that's likely. I can't speak. I don't think that's likely. I think I'm gonna go 2. Yeah, 2 micros because we have a breakaway here, and I still have faith in that. That allows me to have a bit of a tighter stop. I set my limit after price tagged in. Still not chasing. Hopefully it gets back there. Let's just double check the 5-minute. Alright. I'm I'm actually taking that off. Good thing I checked the 5 minute in time. This is creating a five. This just created a 5 minute SIBI. That holds weight over the 1 minute. Over this right here, I'm thinking price is gonna burrow further in, and since we want to minimize the risk of drawdown and have our stops as precise as possible, I'm moving my entry here to this 5 minute SIBI. That's gonna be my entry. Thank God I caught that 5 minute structure in time. Still would like to see this initial breakaway gap as a breakaway gap because it falls above the midpoint of this 5 minute SIBI, so it still lines up. This way I'm able to have an even tighter stop while risking 2 micros. Because it's obvious, price wants this low. If price was unable to get past this high and create more momentum, even with all of this displacement, then the market has made it clearly obvious that it's heavy and it wants to drop down lower. The 5 minute is the closest relevant form of liquidity that we can chase. Now, this would just be heartbreaking if we can't get into this 5 minute gap. It would be crazy if I moved my entry up just for it to get tapped in again and not hit. That would just be incredibly unfortunate. I'm just speaking my emotions and my thought process out loud. I do not feel FOMO to engage in this. I want to have the safest entry possible and precise stops. Since I'm not going in with 1 micro, I'm going in with 2. And we're in now. Took a little while, but we're in. Good thing I didn't chase. I want to have a very precise stop. Going for this external sell side here would be calm. I know the 15-minute low is a stronger draw, but if I'm going to move my TP here, I need to see price head here with aggression and speed. My stop loss here should be protected by this 5 minute, this inverse fair value gap, this consequent encroachment, and this breakaway gap. Our stop allows for price to, it tolerates price trading back into the breakaway, but not inverting it and trading above it. So as we reach this gap, I want to see it violated. I don't want to see it hold no weight. I think at this point, I definitely want to shave my risk back to the top of that breakaway. Good, we fully inverted this gap. Body closed below. Disrespected it. That's what I like to do. I like to disrespect fair value gaps. At this point, risk appetite definitely lower. We don't want price to reach that breakaway gap at all. Don't even want it to reach this last high. So now if this trade reverses on me, I've lost 32 bucks in this trade, which is perfect. I'm not gonna move it to break even yet because I'm allowing for price to retrace into this IFVG and this order block, hopefully find some resistance and crash again. Also, since we're paired up with this 5 minute gap, allowing the trade room to breathe. This is good. This is very good. It's barely noticeable, but this fair value gap right here, institutional order flow entry drill. Just a slight tap in, immediate rejection. So now we're in a risk-free trade, which is good. And yeah, even if I see speed, I'm not gonna move to this 15-minute low. I'm just gonna take this sell side right here. This wick right here is another form of resistance, which price should be able to respect and use to drop further. When I grade this 5 minute wick right here, I can see that price retreated to price traded up into the consequent encroachment of this wick, but wasn't able to close or trade further above, especially not reaching the upper quadrant of that wick, which is still a bearish signature. So while on the 1 minute it looks like all this chop and indecisive price action, the 5 minute helps paint a clearer picture that although we are sitting around here for a while, we're not reaching the upper quadrant of this wick right here, which is indicative of bearish order flow. So that's why I'm still in this trade, confident that it can reach my full TP. Alright, good. Terminus achieved, target hit. Don't care about this 15-minute low. Matter of fact, get it out my screen. We hit our target, right? External sell side. Now we're up on the account. We've recouped all of our losses and then some. Even made back all of Friday's losses. So now my account's back at an all-time high. I made it out of this Asia. Oh my god, I can't pronounce Asia. I made it out of this Asia session alive, but I'm not satisfied with the fact that I took, what was this, 3 trades in the Asia session. I don't want to, mentally reward myself for taking bad habits, because the market can reward you sometimes for practicing bad habits. And honestly, at this point, that's just what happened. I traded outside my rules. I broke one of my rules. It wasn't a hard set rule. It was just to be wary of trading Asia. I haven't traded Asia in weeks, probably months. And the fact that the first time I trade Asia back, it's 3 trades, it's slightly alarming to me, and I do not want to make a habit out of that at all. So I think to counteract what happened today, I'm going to actually set a hard stop rule for myself. And I'm saying this out loud, that way if I break it, like, I can face, the embarrassment of having broken my rules and just saying it out loud in public. I mean, nobody's even going to watch this, but still, for me to rewatch, my trading session and to watch myself break my own rules when I clearly stated, like, that's violation of my own word. And if I can't, honor my own word, then I have no business being a professional trader in these markets. So that's what we're saying. No more Asia for the rest of this week. But aside from that, this was actually a pretty good trade. After I'm done scolding myself now, for what just happened. But actually looking to when I flipped my bias, I realized that this was a breakaway. We opened up 2 fair value gaps and completely rebalanced all of the displacement. So this was most likely to be a breakaway as well, meaning this would be the gap that would be hit. Now, originally it was trading away from it, and I didn't want to chase because this right here is shorting way too deep in discount. Like I said, I wanted tight stops, especially since I was going in with 2 micros, because I was confident that price would reach for this external sell side, and I also wanted to just recoup the losses that I made earlier. And I was confident in the trade just because of the amount of displacement there was and these 2 breakaway gaps right here. There was a point where, one would consider, after tagging this low, do I just take the profit that I've made here and cancel out the trade? It's possible, but at the same time, as much as it's chopping and wicking in both ways, it's not violating this bearish PDA right here. This gap or this gap. I know I had no business wanting to return to this because of the nature of the entry. This precise entry right here and that immediate rejection without a body closing in, that's extremely heavy. Weakness in the market. So as long as price respected that narrative, even if it wanted to take its sweet time heading lower, it was heading lower. So the trend remained dominant right here, this downtrend. It's a good thing that although I tried to fight it in the beginning because I saw this crazy displacement, I recognized I was not onside, and so I was able to flip my bias and target the obvious liquidity right here. And even though price is running even lower, and I could have held it till the 15-minute low, which was slightly lower than the sell side, I'm happy that I got out here because it's not always going to work out that way, especially in an Asia session. So this last trade was a good trade. It made up for the previous two trades, but moving forward, I'm not trading Asia the rest of this week. And it was honestly pretty embarrassing that I was going to have to include that in a video, right? OGR. But it is what it is. This is all about transparency, vulnerability, because, inevitably at a point, oh my God, I can't speak, bro. I'm slurring my words like crazy. Inevitably at a point in time where, I'm a millionaire, I'm running 10 plus prop firm accounts and my own live account, and, I'm on top of my patience and discipline. Like, it's going to be cool to reminisce at a time like this where I didn't perform at my absolute best, but I was able to recognize that and, kind of reprimand myself in public so that I can actually learn from this moving forward. But this is good. We wrapped up Asia. I am actually going to log this trade and close the chart and get off, not think about anything. Tomorrow's a new day. Look to, find some new opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Because this is operation. You know the rest.